What you drink every single day has a direct impact on how well your lungs can clear mucus, reduce inflammation, and keep you breathing comfortably. And if you're over 60, this becomes even more critical because with age, your lungs naturally lose elasticity, making you more vulnerable to conditions like COPD, chronic bronchitis, and pneumonia. I'm Dr. Richard Ben, and after years of experience working with patients, I've seen a pattern that most people completely overlook. Many of my patients weren't just struggling because of age or environment. They were unknowingly making things worse through simple daily habits, especially the drinks they consumed. I've seen patients constantly dealing with phlegm, shortness of breath, and recurring chest infections only to discover that small changes in what they drink made a noticeable difference in how they felt, how they breathed, and how their lungs functioned over time. The truth is, some drinks can naturally support your lungs by thinning mucus, calming inflammation, and improving oxygen flow. But others can do the exact opposite, thickening mucus, irritating your airways, and putting extra stress on your breathing without you even realizing it. So in this video, I'm going to share 5 powerful drinks that can support your lung health, and 5 that you should seriously consider avoiding, especially if you want to breathe easier, stay active, and protect your lungs as you age. And make sure you watch till the end because one of the worst drinks on this list is something many people believe is healthy. Before we begin, I'd like to ask you something. Which of these drinks do you consume daily? Let me know in the comments below. And if you care about your health, make sure to subscribe for more simple, research-based guidance like this. Coming in at number 5 is something simple but incredibly powerful: hot honey and lemon water. Now this might sound basic, but don't underestimate it. In my years of clinical experience, I've seen many older patients overlook this combination, even though it can make a noticeable difference in respiratory comfort, especially for those dealing with constant throat irritation, mild coughing, or sticky mucus. Here's how it works. Honey is naturally rich in antimicrobial and soothing compounds. Research over the past decade, including studies published around 2014 to 2020, has shown that honey can reduce coughing frequency by up to 40% in some individuals, especially at night. It coats the throat, reduces irritation, and helps calm the cough reflex, something that becomes more sensitive as we age. Now add lemon to that. Lemon is packed with vitamin C, a key nutrient that supports your immune system. Studies suggest that adequate vitamin C intake can help reduce the duration and severity of respiratory infections by around 8 to 14%, particularly in older adults whose immune response is naturally weaker. But here's where it becomes powerful for your lungs. When you drink this warm, it helps loosen mucus, making it easier to clear from your airways. And for seniors, this is critical because as we age, mucus tends to become thicker and harder to expel, which can lead to congestion, infections, and that constant heavy chest feeling. Now, how should you use it? Take a glass of warm water, not boiling, just comfortably warm. Add 1 teaspoon of natural honey and a few drops of fresh lemon juice. Drink it slowly, preferably in the morning or before bedtime. For seniors, this works best when used consistently once or twice daily, especially during cold weather or when dealing with mild respiratory discomfort. But a quick caution: if you have diabetes, be mindful of the honey quantity. Keep it minimal and always consult your doctor if needed. At number 4, we have a powerful, nutrient-rich combination: beetroot and carrot juice. Now, this isn't just another healthy drink. This is something I've personally recommended to many of my older patients who were struggling with low energy, breathlessness, or poor oxygen efficiency. And over time, I've seen how consistent use can support better breathing and overall lung performance. Let's break down why this works so well. Beetroot is naturally high in dietary nitrates. Over the past decade, research, especially between 2012 and 2021, has shown that these nitrates can improve oxygen utilization in the body by up to 10 to 16%. What this means in simple terms is your lungs and muscles don't have to work as hard to deliver oxygen where it's needed. It also helps relax blood vessels, improving circulation and reducing strain on your respiratory system. Now combine that with carrots. Carrots are loaded with vitamin A, which plays a critical role in maintaining the integrity of your lung lining. Studies have suggested that people with higher vitamin A intake may have up to 20% better lung function over time, especially as they age. This vitamin helps protect the delicate tissues in your lungs from damage caused by pollution, inflammation, and daily wear and tear. And here's why this matters for seniors. As we age, the efficiency of oxygen exchange naturally declines and the protective lining of the lungs becomes more vulnerable. This combination drink supports both oxygen delivery and tissue protection, making it especially valuable after 50 or 60. Now, how should you use it? Take 1 medium beetroot and 1 to 2 carrots. Blend them fresh with a little water. You can strain it if needed, but drinking it with fiber is even better. Consume it once a day, preferably in the morning, on an empty stomach or mid-morning. Start slow, about half a glass, and gradually increase to a full glass as your body adjusts. A quick note, if you have low blood pressure or kidney concerns, consult your doctor first, as beetroot can lower blood pressure. At number 3, we have one of the most powerful natural combinations for lung support, ginger and turmeric tea. This is not just a traditional remedy. This is something I've seen work repeatedly in real patients, especially those dealing with chest tightness, persistent mucus, or irritated airways. Let's understand why this combination is so effective. Ginger acts as a natural bronchodilator, which means it helps relax the muscles around your airways. When these muscles are relaxed, your air passages open up more ascend, making it easier to breathe. Research over the years, particularly from 2013 to 2020, has shown that compounds in ginger can significantly reduce airway resistance and improve airflow, especially in people with sensitive or inflamed lungs. Now, turmeric takes it a step further. Turmeric contains curcumin, a powerful anti-inflammatory compound. Studies suggest that curcumin can reduce inflammation markers in the body by up to 25 to 30% when used consistently. And this is crucial because chronic low-level inflammation is one of the biggest reasons behind breathing problems, mucus buildup, and lung irritation in older adults. But here's where the real benefit happens. When you combine ginger and turmeric in a warm tea, it not only reduces inflammation, but also helps loosen and clear mucus from the lungs. For seniors, this is extremely important because thick, sticky mucus can sit in the airways, making breathing feel heavy and increasing the risk of infections. Now, how should you use it? Take a small piece of fresh ginger and half a teaspoon of turmeric powder, or fresh turmeric, if available. Boil it in a cup of water for 5 to 7 minutes. You can add a pinch of black pepper to enhance absorption and a little honey if you want to improve the taste. Drink it once daily, preferably in the evening or before bedtime, when your body is in recovery mode. And for seniors, this can be especially helpful during cold weather, seasonal changes, or when you feel congestion building up. Just a quick caution, if you're on blood thinners or have gallbladder issues, consult your doctor before using turmeric regularly. At number 2, we have one of the most researched and widely recommended drinks for lung support, green tea. Now, this isn't just a healthy lifestyle trend. In my experience working with patients over the years, I've seen that people who regularly include green tea in their routine often report better breathing comfort, less irritation, and improved overall respiratory health, especially as they get older. So what makes green tea so powerful? It's rich in antioxidants called carcans, especially one known as EGCG, epigallocatechin galatea. Research between 2010 and 2022 has consistently shown that EGCG has strong anti-inflammatory and protective effects on lung tissue. In some studies, these compounds were linked to reducing lung inflammation by up to 20 to 25%, which is significant because chronic inflammation is one of the main drivers behind breathing difficulties and long-term lung damage. But it doesn't stop there. Green tea may also help protect against fibrosis. That's the scarring and stiffening of lung tissue that can make breathing harder over time. While this process usually develops slowly, regular intake of antioxidant-rich drinks like green tea can help slow down that damage and support healthier lung function. And for seniors, this becomes even more important because as we age, our body's ability to fight oxidative stress decreases. This means more damage from pollution, toxins, and everyday inflammation. Green tea acts like a daily shield, helping your lungs stay more resilient and functional. Now, how should you use it? Take 1 cup of hot water, add a green tea bag, or 1 teaspoon of loose green tea, and let it steep for 2 to 3 minutes. Avoid overbrewing as it can become bitter. Drink it once or twice daily, ideally between meals. For seniors, consistency is key. Small daily habits like this can make a noticeable difference over time. A quick note, if you're sensitive to caffeine, limit intake to 1 cup per day or choose a decaffeinated version. And finally, at number 1, the most powerful, most overlooked, and absolutely essential drink for your lungs is simple water. Now, I know this might sound too basic, but in my years of experience, I've seen that many patients dealing with thick mucus, constant throat clearing, and even breathlessness was simply not drinking enough water. And once they corrected this one habit, the improvement was noticeable. Here's why water is so critical. Your lungs are lined with a thin layer of mucus. This isn't a bad thing. It's actually your body's natural defense system. It traps dust, pollutants, and harmful particles before they can reach deeper into your lungs. But for this system to work properly, that mucus needs to stay thin and fluid, and that's where hydration comes in. Research over the years has shown that even mild dehydration can make mucus up to 30 to 40% thicker, making it harder for your lungs to clear out toxins effectively. When mucus becomes thick and sticky, it sits in the airways, leading to congestion, coughing, and a higher risk of infections, especially in older adults. On the other hand, when you stay well hydrated, your lungs can naturally cleanse themselves more efficiently. Toxins are cleared faster, airways stay more open, and breathing feels smoother and easier. And for seniors, this is even more important. As we age, the sensation of thirst decreases, meaning many people over 60 are unknowingly dehydrated most of the time. This silent dehydration puts extra stress on the lungs and can worsen existing respiratory issues. So how should you use it? Aim for 6 to 8 glasses of water daily, spread evenly throughout the day. Start your morning with a glass of warm water and keep sipping regularly instead of drinking large amounts all at once. If plain water feels boring, you can slightly warm it or add a few drops of lemon for taste. But the key is consistency. A quick tip, if your urine is dark yellow, your body is asking for more hydration. Light pale color usually means you're on the right track. Now that we've covered the 5 drinks that can support and protect your lungs, it's time to look at the other side, the drinks that may be silently working against you. Because in my experience, many people focus only on what to add to their routine, but they ignore what needs to be removed. And sometimes the damage isn't coming from what you lack, it's coming from what you consume every single day without realizing its impact. So now, let's talk about 5 drinks that can harm your lungs, drinks that may increase inflammation, thicken mucus, irritate your airways, and make breathing more difficult over time, especially after the age of 50 or 60. And I want you to pay close attention here because some of the drinks on this list are extremely common and many people still believe they're completely harmless. At number 5 on the avoid list, highly acidic juices, especially if you have acid reflux. Now, this is something many people misunderstand. Drinks like orange juice or tomato juice are often seen as healthy, But for seniors dealing with reflux, they can quietly make breathing problems worse. Let me explain how. As we age, the valve between the stomach and esophagus becomes weaker. This allows stomach acid to travel upward, a condition known as acid reflux or GERD. Studies over the years, particularly from 2010 to 2022, have shown that nearly 40 to 60% of adults over 60 experience some level of reflux symptoms. Now, here's where it becomes dangerous for your lungs. When you consume highly acidic drinks, they can trigger or worsen reflux episodes. And in some cases, tiny amounts of stomach acid can travel even higher and enter the airways, a process called microaspiration. You may not even feel it happening, but over time this can irritate the lungs, cause chronic coughing, throat clearing, and even worsen conditions like asthma or chronic bronchitis. Research has suggested that up to 20 to 30% of chronic cough cases in older adults are linked to reflux-related issues, and repeated exposure of the airways to acid can increase inflammation, making breathing more uncomfortable and less efficient. In more serious cases, especially in vulnerable seniors, this can increase the risk of aspiration-related complications, including pneumonia, which remains a leading cause of hospitalization and mortality in older populations worldwide. So, how should you manage this? If you have reflux or even mild heartburn, it's best to limit or avoid highly acidic juices, especially on an empty stomach. This includes packaged orange juice, tomato juice, and other citrus-heavy drinks. Instead, opt for low-acid alternatives. And avoid lying down immediately after drinking anything acidic. Give your body at least 2-3 hours before going to bed. At number 4 on the avoid list, energy drinks. Now, this is one of the most concerning categories, especially for older adults. I've seen patients come in with sudden palpitations, restlessness, and even shortness of breath without realizing that their daily energy boost was actually putting extra strain on both their heart and lungs. Here's what makes energy drinks risky. Most of them contain very high levels of caffeine, often 2 to 3 times more than a regular cup of coffee, combined with large amounts of sugar and carbonation. This combination overstimulates your system. Research over the past decade, particularly between 2012 and 2021, has shown that high caffeine intake can increase heart rate and blood pressure significantly, sometimes by 10 to 15% or more shortly after consumption. For younger individuals, this might feel like a temporary boost, but for seniors, it can be overwhelming. Now think about what this does to your breathing. When your heart starts racing and your nervous system is overstimulated, your breathing rate also increases. This creates a feeling of breathlessness or air hunger, especially in people who already have reduced lung capacity. Add carbonation into the mix, and it can cause bloating, which puts pressure on the diaphragm and makes it physically harder for your lungs to expand fully. And then there's sugar. High sugar intake is linked to increased inflammation in the body, including the lungs. Studies suggest that diets high in added sugars can raise inflammatory markers by up to 20 to 25%, which over time can worsen respiratory conditions and make mucus thicker and harder to clear. For seniors, this combination is particularly dangerous because as we age, our cardiovascular and respiratory systems are more sensitive. What feels like a quick boost can quickly turn into strain, triggering palpitations, fatigue, and uncomfortable breathing. So what should you do? The safest approach is to avoid energy drinks altogether, especially if you're over 50 or have any history of heart or lung issues. If you need energy, choose natural alternatives like green tea or simply focus on proper hydration and rest. At number 3 on the avoid list, dairy-based shakes or heavy milk. Now, this is a bit controversial because not everyone reacts to dairy in the same way. But in my experience, especially with older patients who already have asthma, COPD, or frequent mucus buildup, dairy can quietly make their symptoms worse. Here's what happens. For some individuals, dairy products, particularly heavy milk, milkshakes, and cream-based drinks can increase the thickness of mucus in the airways. It's not always about producing more mucus, but making the existing mucus feel heavier, stickier, and harder to clear. And when that happens, breathing becomes more difficult. Research and clinical observations over the years, including studies between 2010 and 2019, have shown that a noticeable percentage of people, around 20 to 30%, report increased phlegm or throat coating after consuming dairy. While this doesn't affect everyone, those who are sensitive often experience more coughing, throat clearing, and a blocked feeling in the chest. Now, for seniors, this becomes more serious because as we age, our ability to clear mucus from the lungs naturally declines. The tiny hair-like structures in the lungs called cilia become less effective. So when mucus becomes thick or sticky, it tends to stay in the airways longer, increasing the risk of congestion, infections, and breathing discomfort. And if someone already has conditions like asthma or COPD, this extra mucus can obstruct airflow even more, leading to coughing fits, wheezing, and reduced oxygen flow. So what should you do? If you notice increased mucus or throat heaviness after consuming milk or dairy-based drinks, try reducing or eliminating them for a few days and observe how your body responds. Many patients notice clearer breathing within a short time. You don't have to eliminate dairy completely, but avoid heavy, creamy drinks, especially at night when mucus tends to settle more in the lungs. At number 2 on the avoid list, excessive alcohol. Now, this is something I've had to discuss with many patients over the years, especially those who were dealing with repeated chest infections, low immunity, or persistent fatigue without understanding the root cause. Here's the reality. Alcohol doesn't just affect your liver, it has a direct impact on your lungs and immune system as well. When consumed in excess, it weakens your body's natural defense mechanisms, particularly in the respiratory tract. Research over the years, including studies from 2010 to 2022, has shown that heavy alcohol use can reduce immune efficiency by up to 30 to 50%, making it much harder for your body to fight off infections. This is one of the reasons why individuals who drink heavily are significantly more vulnerable to illnesses like pneumonia. In fact, global health data has consistently linked excessive alcohol consumption with a higher risk of respiratory infections. And in older adults, this risk becomes even more serious. But that's not the only problem. Alcohol is also dehydrating, and as we discussed earlier, hydration is critical for keeping mucus in the lungs thin and easy to clear. When your body becomes dehydrated, mucus becomes thick and sticky, making it harder for your lungs to clean themselves. This creates the perfect environment for bacteria to grow, increasing the chances of infection and breathing difficulties. Now, for seniors, this effect is even stronger because with age, both immunity and lung function naturally decline. So what might seem like a moderate habit can quietly turn into a significant risk, leading to more frequent illness, slower recovery, and increased strain on breathing. So what should you do? If you're dealing with any lung condition, frequent coughing, or low immunity, it's best to avoid alcohol altogether or significantly reduce it. Because protecting your lungs isn't just about what you add to your routine, it's also about what you limit. And finally, at number 1 on the avoid list, the most harmful and most commonly consumed drink, sugary soft drinks or sodas. This is one of the biggest hidden threats to your lung health, especially for seniors. And the problem is, many people drink these every single day without realizing the long-term damage they can cause. Let me explain why. These drinks are loaded with added sugar, and high sugar intake has been strongly linked to increased inflammation throughout the body, including the lungs. Research from around 2015 to 2022 has shown that people who consume high amounts of sugary beverages may have up to 25 to 30% higher risk of developing respiratory issues, including chronic bronchitis and reduced lung function. But that's not all. Sodas are also carbonated. That carbonation can cause bloating in the stomach, which puts upward pressure on the diaphragm, the muscle that helps your lungs expand and contract. When the diaphragm is restricted, your lungs can't fully expand, and that makes breathing feel more difficult, especially in older adults. Now, combine sugar and carbonation together. You get inflammation plus physical restriction on breathing at the same time. And for seniors, this becomes even more serious because as we age, lung capacity naturally decreases, and even small obstacles like bloating or mild inflammation can make a noticeable difference in how easily you breathe. Over time, regular soda consumption can contribute to fatigue, shortness of breath, and worsening respiratory comfort. There's also another concern. Frequent sugar intake weakens the immune system, making it harder for your body to fight infections, including those that affect the lungs. So what should you do? The best step is simple. Eliminate or drastically reduce sugary soft drinks from your daily routine. Replace them with water, herbal teas, or natural drinks that actually support your lungs instead of harming them. Before we end, here's a simple but powerful tip, especially for seniors. If you notice that you cough more after drinking cold beverages, pay attention to that signal. Your body is telling you something. Try switching to warm or room temperature drinks instead. In many cases, warm fluids are far more effective at loosening mucus, soothing the airways and making breathing feel easier and more comfortable. I'm Dr. Richard Ben, and after years of working with patients, I can tell you this. Small daily habits create the biggest long-term results. Take care of your lungs, stay consistent with what you consume, and always listen to your body. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, share, and leave a comment below. Let me know which drink surprised you the most. And if you truly care about your health or your loved ones, subscribe to the channel for more simple, research-based guidance. Take care of your health because your breathing is your life. And remember, healthy lungs, healthier